Hello everyone and welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. So we're basically your regular homesteading family living on a 2-acre farm, debt free. But the one thing that defines us and makes us a little different is we keep our eye on the bigger game. And that's what's going on globally. Let's talk about land ownership in Maui. There's a couple of things most people don't understand. There's something called fee simple or freehold ownership. And when you have that type of ownership, you literally own the land. You can dispose of the land. You can dispose of it through selling, giving, trading, leasing, or leaving it as an inheritance to your children or your children's children. Then there's a second type, and that is called leasehold ownership. And when you're in a leasehold ownership, you do not own the land. You can use it for a predetermined amount of time, but you don't own it. You have no title. So there are a couple of different ways that they do this. Say that you own a condominium in Maui or Hawaii on any of the islands. You own the unit and it's allocated for different ownership. So I may own condominium A, you may own condominium B. All right? So we each own our own physical structure. And we share, right, the remaining property. It's all designated for common ownership by unit owners. Now, in a fee simple ownership of the unit, and you have shared ownership of the common elements, which is the property. And then you have tenants, all right? Tenants in common. This is multiple people who own the same property. So what you're seeing going on in Lahaina and Maui right now with people who had their homes burnt, there may be no way to help them out because they never owned the property their home was built on. How crazy is that? And I hear Hawaii is not the only state that allows this type of separation and ownership. Because see, here in Louisiana, we have freehold ownership or fee, F-E-E, simple ownership. Now, I can sell my home and property to someone and hold on to the mineral rights. Mineral rights means if they find gold or gas or even the water rights to the property, I can retain and sell the property. So there's a lot that goes into land ownership worldwide. And I thought it was very interesting and something that you need to have clarified when you're talking about people losing their land in Lahaina or on Maui. Did they lose their structure to the fire, but maybe possibly they never owned the actual land, right? Then I spoke to my friend from Maui who was explaining to me that basically Lahaina is a historical site. We all know that. Was the first capital of the Hawaiian kingdom. We all know that. But that the Pacific Islands have basically been seen as a separate community inside the UN. And what I'm finding out and finding very interesting is that the United Nations is a divided entity. So you've got part of the United Nations that wants total control of the world, wants us all living in smart cities, wants to control how many times a day we flush our commode and what temperature we're allowed to use in our house, and they want us to eat bugs. Then you have another separate side of the UN that's more focused on seeing indigenous rights be reinstated, seeing individual cultures being protected, seeing people have use of their land in any way that they choose to do it. So again, very similar to what's going on in the United States right now, you have two factions warring against each other. We have, call us right-wingers, people that are Bible-loving, country-singing, property-owning, gun-toting Americans that will die behind our Constitution, that believe that this country is the greatest country in the world, that we will protect our freedom of speech, we'll protect our freedom to carry guns. We don't want you to tell us how to raise our children or what to teach our children. Then you've got the other side, call them the left-wing leaners, who believe that everybody would be happier living in smart cities, living on a subsistence living, being told what to think, what to eat, when to poop, where to bring their children, and how many times they need to be jabbed with an injection. So you've got that in the UN too. So I thought this might help keep people realizing that what's going on in Lahaina is extremely off the chain, you guys. I don't know at this point how much more like you and I can do to help them. At this point, the people of Maui, the people of Hawaii, the people of Lahaina have to decide, do they want to stay part of the United States? Or are they going to separate out under UN protection along with the other Pacific islands, like, you know, the French-owned Polynesia and the other indigenous tribes like Guam? Because what I'm seeing is that the same company, plantation owners, the Alexander Baldwin, that group, you know, pretty much sold out most of their sugarcane fields to a Canadian company to grow food and export it off the island to make money on Maui's, you know, beautifully fertile land. But I'm seeing that they now have interest in Guam, which is another Pacific island. So it's much, much deeper, you guys, in the political forays. But I can tell you this through a very trusted source, that people in Maui, on all the islands of Hawaii, the island of Guam, the Polynesian French, all these islands are seeking to be represented and acknowledged by the UN as their own set, like their own country with their own kingdom, because they're tired of having these other countries come in and take them over. Now, I can tell you why that happened, because they are all strategically placed to play in the war game. And their islands are needed. And if we aren't there, the way people think is, well, then the Chinese will move in and take them and they'll turn into a communist country. They're too close to America, so we have to gobble them up. But maybe they're onto something when they seek special privileges and protection and a seat at the table with the UN. Because if they're going to stand on their own without the United States, without Canada, without the French, if these islands are going to stand on their own without the Japanese, they're going to have to be protected by the UN, or they will be gobbled up by larger countries. And that's just the way the game's played. Here's a clip from Governor Green I thought you would find interesting.
About purchasing land. That is to protect it for our local people so that it's not stolen by people on the mainland. I've asked my Attorney General to watch for predatory practices, and we will be embedding attorneys who are going to work pro bono for our people. If people have someone reach out to them to try to get their land, we will be able to get expert legal advice so that doesn't happen.